Hi, my name's Dave and welcome to day 17 of RPGaDAY. Over halfway already. Wow, where does the time go? That wasn't a gag just because of the t-shirt, don't worry. Okay, today's one is funniest game you've played. There could be a lot of those. Most of my games are a bit on the silly side. I must admit I really do have very fond memories of playing Paranoia when that first came out, but I think the winner for funniest game ever played would have to be Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is fantastic. Seriously, why people just don't see that this is possibly one of the greatest RPGs ever created, I do not know. The reason why it's funny is because it's just it captures the spirit of the films perfectly. I mean, there's a couple of books in there and it even says it in the title, frightfully cheerful role-playing game. Yeah, it's just, oh, look at it, it's gorgeous. Surprisingly simple, incredibly easy to play, nicely illustrated with little caricatures and cartoons of the characters, and a super deformed big head Bill Murray. What more could you want? This is possibly one of the most influential RPGs of me, certainly. Doctor Who, if you've played Doctor Who, you will realise exactly where I'm coming from for that one, because I wanted to try and capture the feel of the TV series Doctor Who, but also keep it quite accessible for new players. So certainly the first edition of Doctor Who, the idea that your equipment could be easily written down on a card, which made it into Doctor Who RPG, so you could hand pieces of useful equipment like a sonic screwdriver over, using D6 of course. Yeah, just keeping it quite simple and quick. I remember playing so many games of this. It's fantastic. Ghost Toasties was the first adventure that I remember playing on this one. The screen opened out to be the inside of Ecto-1, and I wrote so many adventures for West End Games for this. I typed them all up manually on a little typewriter. I think I have some video footage of where I used to type this back when I was but a wee whippersnapper. So fresh out of school, I sent off a load of adventures to West End Games. The first one was one called Spooky Science, which was basically weird science, where they created a super intelligent AI that was controlling the computer system at Ghostbusters headquarters, which accidentally opened the containment grid and let loads of things out, including Yogurt Sothoth, a health food god, and flooded New York in yogurt. Yeah. Well, that was one adventure anyway. Another adventure that I wrote, which ties in with the t-shirt this time, was one called Back to Transylvania, where the team use a time-travelling DeLorean to go back in time to kill off Dracula. It was an okay idea. There was that weird moment when you're flying over the Atlantic, and whether you'd actually charged up the reactor on the DeLorean, and when the car hit 88 miles an hour, not that the car itself was driving, it was in the hold of the plane, but when it hit 88 miles an hour, it time travels over the sea. Yeah. You can read all about the weird and wacky adventures that I wrote for Ghostbusters when I was desperately trying to get into game writing back in the late 80s, early 90s on my blog. If I hadn't had quite such a positive response from the cool guys at West End Games, I don't think I would have kept going writing role-playing games, and I would certainly have not worked on Conspiracy X and Doctor Who. I would have probably just been something boring. So thanks to all the guys at West End Games for creating possibly the funniest RPG ever created, and also giving me a career in role-playing games. So what do you think the funniest RPG is that you've ever played? Was it Ghostbusters? Was it Paranoia? Was it just a normal game of D&D that dissolved into the usual Monty Python-esque running around and throwing cows at each other? I know a lot of my D&D games did involve an awful lot of Monty Python quotes. Don't forget to share on all the social medias and use the hashtag RPGaDAY, and I'll try and retweet and share as many of those comments as possible as well. And don't forget to come back tomorrow where we will be doing favourite game system, which could be a tricky one. You might have to think about those one in advance. If you want to think about any of the topics in advance, you might want to download the list. There's a little link in the text at the bottom of the video where you can download the cool image, which will be obscuring the cat, which tells you what the rest of the month's topics are, so you can plan in advance if you wish. Until then, keep playing games.